In the Rocky Mountains, on the border between Alberta and British Columbia, vast wilderness areas still exist where nature remains undisturbed by man. Every animal contributes to nature's delicate balance, and with a long, harsh winter ahead, the struggle for survival begins. It is in these lonely valleys and mountains that bushman and photographer Tommy Tompkins has dedicated his life to the preservation of a world he believes in, yours and mine. Traveling for months at a time into this wild country with limited supplies and a camera, he captures on film the unknown for all to see. In order to better understand their winter survival, Tommy Tompkins set out alone on foot in search of the timber wolf.
Traveling in the winter, I always wear the best of Arctic clothing and try to keep my pack under 40 pounds. On this trip, I relied mainly on dried foods, fish, and ptarmigan for my food supply. The wolves, like many other animals in winter, travel the snow-swept frozen rivers and lakes. Using these rivers as my highways, I was able to pick up their fresh tracks. Reading the tracks, one could see they were strung out, moving fast, and hunting, as they were checking all the other animal tracks in the snow. The wolf track is a lot larger than the average person thinks, and much larger than a dog's track. The front paws span about 4.5 inches wide by about 5.5 inches long. Along the way, I see many animals. The weasel changes from his tawny fur coat in summer to white in the winter. He is often trapped for his fur, which is called ermine. This little fellow manages to catch what appeared to be a chickadee in an old snag. One of the most powerful and beautiful animals in America is the silver-tipped grizzly. Just before their winter sleep, their coats are at their prime, and they are fat and healthy. In the cold snow, you will sometimes see them standing, holding up their paws. These animals that can weigh more than half a ton are unpredictable and can outrun a man very quickly. As the wind swirled through the timber, I was getting a little worried, because I thought they had my scent. These large boar grizzly could charge at a moment's notice. As daylight disappeared, I moved off the river ice and set up my camp under a large spruce tree and got ready for a cold night. Sitting by the campfire, I could hear the lonely calls of the timber wolves blending with the wind over this white wilderness. Up early the next morning, I soon cut their tracks, not more than an hour old. Again, they were strung out, moving fast and hunting. With the wind in the wrong direction for me, my only hope was they would stop to make a kill. The tracks finally led to this freshly killed mule deer, which was easy prey for the wolves. The deer had been brought down by the wolves an hour before and was almost completely eaten. Taking several counts of their tracks, I found this unusually large pack contained about 11 wolves. That afternoon, I caught my first glimpse of this beautiful gray pack as they ran the river ice. The average healthy wolf pack numbers 7 to 9 wolves, weighing 70 to 130 pounds each, but sometimes weighing as much as 180 pounds. The pack is very well organized and strictly disciplined by an adult male and female. This pair mate for life and are the only ones of the pack allowed to breed and reproduce. This strong unity of the wolf family is the reason he has survived against man. The moose is one of the chief sources of food supply for wolves. It is not true that wolves only kill sick and weak animals, though they will take the road of least resistance, and this means sometimes killing a full, healthy animal. If there is a sick or an injured moose, the wolves will single it out and chase it to exhaustion through rough terrain or deep snow. The moose use their front feet as their weapons of defense. One strike can easily break the back of a timber wolf or crush its skull. This moose, after being chased for a day and a night, makes its last stand at the edge of the frozen river. Here was one of the wolves killed, slammed to death by the front feet of the moose in the deep snow. Even though the moose is near collapse, the wolves still know the danger of those front feet. When chased, the moose and other members of the deer family will instinctively run for a lake or river. And standing even in 2 feet of water, the wolves won't go in after them. Here, the river is frozen over and there is no escape. But at this time, the wolves are too exhausted to make the final kill. As darkness falls, the wolves move back into the timber to rest. Here they will wait until the leader gives the killer call. When a kill is made, the wolves gorge themselves and can consume in excess of 20 pounds of meat each per feeding. Each day after that, they would consume about that much until the kill is completely cleaned up. While feeding on a kill, the wolves will not attack any other animal. When they have eaten their fill, they will generally leave a guard wolf behind to watch over the carcass. The coyotes. These little guys follow the wolf pack continually, stealing food. While this little coyote takes it easy, his friend runs off with a piece of moose hide. His life depends on his speed. The marten also steals from the wolf kill. He is another member of the weasel family and is chocolate brown both winter and summer. When he is trapped in winter, his fur is called sable. In 6 days, the wolves had completely consumed this 700 to 800 pound moose. Shortly after the gray wolves left the area, another pack showed up, which had 2 black wolves in it. This 1-year-old puppy had a silver band of hair running over its shoulders like a surcingle or saddle mark. When this strange pack later met the gray wolves, they were challenged to fight, but being outnumbered, they quickly took off. As evening set in, you could hear the packs calling each other from their rendezvous sites from across this frozen lake. Early this morning, it was 46 below. The wolves were on the move, always trotting. Very seldom do they walk. They trot between 8 and 10 miles an hour and can cover up to 60 miles in one night. The leader of this pack I named Northwind, and his mate Blizzard. I named them after a half-wolf sleigh dog team I remembered when I was a boy. This herd of elk is a perfect example of the overpopulation of the deer family. And as they overgraze their winter range, many will die of starvation this winter. This bull elk, lying down for his last time, died of starvation within the hour. Here is where the wolves contribute greatly to the balance of nature. By killing off the weakest, the strongest elk are left to breed and produce healthy calves. With this natural population control, the wolves actually strengthen the herd and help to ensure their survival. One of my most unusual sightings was where a cougar had killed a wolverine. 17 days this pack traveled by day and night before hunger forced them to kill again. Just before daylight, this 6-point bull elk was brought down by the wolves in a 500-yard chase. I moved in here quickly before the elk was torn apart, chased the wolves off, and salvaged some meat for myself. The 2 leaders and the puppies feed first, followed by the 3-year-olds, then the 2-year-olds. After 3 weeks of travel with this pack, they knew I had no intentions of harming them, and never at any time did they show any signs of being vicious towards me. It's been said many times that the wolves threaten the survival of other wildlife. But really, man is the only species that has ever been successful in wiping out another species. I believe the wolves' worst enemies are, number 1, starvation, number 2, mange, and number 3, man, who, with his snowmobiles, airplanes, and poison, is moving quickly into second place. In 8 days, the wolves had finished the kill, and this was the last day I was ever to see this beautiful gray pack. That night, I heard the familiar call of the timber wolf pack, and from across the river, I heard Northwind give the hunting call. As I moved out from my campfire, I could see the 2 leaders of this great pack, Northwind and Blizzard, swinging high on the sides of a 6-point bull elk as it ran out onto the river ice. When the elk collapsed, the ice broke, and all 3 were swept to their death in the cold running water of this mountain river. At 48 below, as the setting sun set the river ice on fire, I knew that in this frozen wilderness, where the timber wolves call, man is the intruder.
Where nature remains undisturbed by man. Every animal contributes to nature's delicate balance, and with a long, harsh winter ahead, the struggle for survival begins. In the Rocky Mountains, on the border between Alberta and British Columbia, vast wilderness areas still exist. It is in these lonely valleys and mountains that bushman and photographer Tommy Tompkins has dedicated his life to the preservation of a world he believes in, yours and mine. Traveling for months at a time into this wild country with limited